Hi folks, well, I've been doing a bit of work on the bike over the weekend. I've installed the loom and all the electrics and stuff. I've done a slideshow about that which has already been uploaded yesterday. I just wanted to do a quick video about this bit. This is the exhaust bracket. I bought an exhaust bracket off eBay, like a clamp with the rubber. I included the bolt. It's only like a £5, so that's holding my exhaust can on. And then I didn't include the actual hanger, so I made the hanger up myself. This is made out of a plate of aluminium, kind of like that. It's just basically a straight plate of aluminium. And what I did was cut it into a kind of triangle shape, because it's got one bolt at the bottom and two at the top. And then obviously I drilled holes at the top and one at the bottom. And also it had to be bent a little bit, just bent slightly. To bend it, all I did was I put a file across, just put a file flat across the top, and just stood on the file and just lifted the other end up a bit, and I just bent it out a bit, and there's just an ever so slight bend there. You can feel just a slight bend, and then it goes straight again. Nipped the corners off as well, and then just filed them down, because obviously there's a slight bit of a kind of rough edge or slightly sharp edge, so just kind of filed that down a bit just to, you know, make it a bit neater. Could actually maybe do it a bit more, but I just bolted it on. These are the mountings for the pillion pegs, but I don't think I'm going to be putting pillion pegs on, so just basically use those bolts for the exhaust hanger. So that's 2 Allen bolts that have gone in there and fitted on with washers. It would look probably quite good if it was drilled, but because it's just aluminium, I'm not really wanting to weaken it any. I reckon it's reasonably strong as it is, but I don't think I'm going to drill it, but it doesn't look too bad anyway. So that's now the exhaust can attached with the hanger. Not sure if I've made a video actually talking about the electrics. I did the electrics yesterday, put in the loom and wired everything up. So we've got the CDI, the digital ignition, that's fixed onto the back of the chassis there and plugged into the loom. And then we've got the that's the regulator. That's a Yamaha R1 regulator. Had to get rid of the block connector from there. From the Honda loom, because it wouldn't fit into the Yamaha, so that's just plugged in, just the wires separately and taped around. But I'll maybe get a block connector at some point and do that properly, but it'll do for the moment anyway. What else have we got? We've got things like the fuel relay in there. We've got the ignition starter motor relay. I think that's the starter motor relay, and there's a fuse in there as well. And then that's the battery positive lead. Discovered the battery fits really well between that bar and this bit across the top on the subframe, so I think that must be where the battery's meant to go. But the battery that I've got for it was from an old bike, and the poles are the wrong way around. It's got the minus pole on that side and the plus on that side, so I'm going to need to get a different battery, but that's okay. They're only about 40 or 50 quid, so I'll get one of those. So everything else is kind of plugged in. So this bit has the alternator and the side stand switch and the fuel pump plugged in. This blue wire here, this is the fuel pump. The fuel pump's not actually attached yet. It's just basically kind of sitting on top of the what do you call it, reservoir, the rear shock reservoir on that. So these wires here, they're just kind of basically a bunch of wires. I've cable tied them together just to try and keep them reasonably neat. They go down, so you've got like one coming up from the alternator. That's the alternator wire there, that goes up and plugs in the back there. And the same with the, you can't really see the side stand switch I think in the video, it goes like under there. And I routed it up the back of the water pumps to kind of keep it out of the way so it doesn't foul on the chain of that. So those 3 wires go up into there, and then the loom comes down this side, and it's cable tied in there. That's the clutch diode, and and then the loom, again you can't really see it because of all the kind of the hoses and bits and pieces, but basically runs up here. And then goes there, and then it's I don't know if you can see because it's a bit dark in here. Hang on a sec, put another light on. That's a bit better. So there's a bolt there, and that's like the earth for the whole of the loom. There's like 2 thick green wires that come out and go to this earth, and that earths the whole loom onto the chassis. So like anything, the earth pole on any of the components goes onto this main kind of green backbone. Yeah, so that's kind of that. So that's the fuse box there. That'll need to be attached properly at some point, but it's kind of sitting there at the moment. It's alright for the time being. That's the instruments. I haven't got clocks yet, so that's not plugged into anything. All the rest of the loom is basically kind of tucked down in this middle bit here, and I've basically just like got the wire, the loom into, and all the wires into a kind of a neat bundle, as neat as I can get it, and just cable tied it with one of these huge cable ties, and then just cut that cable tie off just to make it a bit neater. Just knock one of those filters off. And then these wires here, these to the coils. The coils, they're meant to have brackets like the bolt onto these 2 bolts and this cross member, but I didn't have the brackets. I could probably get some, I might get some at some point and do it properly, but for the time being what I've done is I've just sat the coils up on top of the cross member and just put an Allen bolt down through one side of the coil, and then on the other side I've just put a cable tie just to stop them kind of swinging around, if you know what I mean. So they're reasonably solid, they're not going anywhere, you know. And then these wires here, these connectors, these are the connectors that go to the coils. They have like one which is blue and yellow and one which is white and black, and they each have each coil has one of each. So I think that coil is for the 1st and the 4th cylinders, and that one's for the 2nd and 3rd or something like that. And I think like a pulse goes to one, and because of the firing order you just get a pulse to one and then a pulse to the other and so on. I think that's how it works, something like that. So what I've done is I've connected it all up and taped and wrapped some kind of sheet rubber around it, cable tied that, and then put tape around the outside of that, so that kind of keeps all that secure and, you know, kind of well fixed together. There's an odd kind of plug there which is a 2-pin plug, and the only thing I've still got to plug in is the headlights, so I suspect that must be for the headlights. What else have I done? Yeah, I've wired in the starter motor. I tried to get the wiring as neat as I can, but it's difficult to get it neat at the front really, because there's so much and there's so little space to put it all. I might redo it again at some point and try and do a kind of tidier job, but for the time being I just want to get it good enough to put it in for an MOT test, you know. So at the front we've got like the switch gear, all the switch gears now routed through, well, it's kind of routed like behind the forks. I don't know if you can really see, all the kind of cables and stuff are routed behind the forks, and then they go underneath the headstock and over the top of the radiator. And then what I did was I just plugged it all together, and then I just pushed it all down underneath, got it into a neat bundle, lifted it up underneath the cross member and put that big cable tie in. There's still some things that need to be connected up, like for example these bits are for the indicators. That's for one indicator and those are for the other, so I'll get the indicators plugged in at some point. So I've still got to do headlights, indicators, clocks, and then at the rear I've got to do the rear light and the rear indicators. This bit here, this is for the rear light and indicators. So I think the rear light is the, hang on a second, it's difficult to see really, but so there's a 3-pin plug in there which I think is for the rear light, and then the round ones that take the bullet connectors there for the indicators for the back. So it's basically lights, indicators and clocks that I've still to do. That's all the electrics that I've still to do, and then obviously I've got to put the battery in. I'll need to make some kind of battery box. Anyway, it's kind of getting there, you know. Just got to finish off the electrics, got to fit the rear sets and do the rear brake and fit the tank and the fuel system and the seat unit, and then it's pretty much ready to go in for an MOT. Anyway, my dinner's burning, so thanks for watching. Bye.